Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. It's great to be back here and fellowshipping with you on Points of Light Radio. And on today's segment of Points of Light Radio, I am once again going to be fellowshipping with a gentleman named Jamie James. If you recall him from an earlier segment of Points of Light Radio, I fellowshipped with him and he talked about about the ancient mystic order of Samaritans, of which he is the past supreme monarchos or grand master in the United States. But he did mention to you that he was a member of the Grand United Order of Oddfellows, which he's here to talk about today. Now, to give you a little bit of background, the Oddfellows are one of the oldest fraternal organizations. The first known Oddfellows group was in South Yorkshire, England, and it dated back to 1730. The American Grand United Order of Oddfellows was formed in 1843. Now, if you recall, one of my earlier guests on Points of Light Radio was Davy Wiggers. He was in the Independent Order of Oddfellows. And if you haven't saw that particular segment, I encourage you to go back and take a look, and it'll tie into this particular discussion I'm going to have with this gentleman today. Now, one of the things I'm wondering about is what's the difference between the Independent Order of Oddfellows and the Grand United Order of Oddfellows? Well, how about we let Mr. James explain that to us? Let's go talk to Mr. James. But as I always ask you, are you still seeking for the light? Are you still thirsty for knowledge? Then just trim your lamp and follow me.
Okay, all right.
Sure. Sorry. So welcome back to Points of Light Radio, Mr. James.
Hey, how you doing?
And you are the Grand Master of the Grand United Order of Oddfellows in Florida.
Yes.
Tell us a little about yourself.
I'm currently live in Edgewater, Florida, which is about 25 miles south of Daytona Beach. We are on the east coast of Florida. I've lived here for about 20 years. I've been a member of the Oddfellows for September will be my 20th year. For the first about 5 or 6 years, we were part of the Independent Order of Oddfellows, and then our lodge transitioned over to the Grand United Order of Oddfellows.
What are the key differences, would you say, between the United Order and the Independent?
There's a couple of differences. These days, most Independent Order of Oddfellow lodges are mixed. They have men and women that meet together, whereas the Grand United Order is still separate. The men have their group, the women have their group. The women's group is called the Household of Ruth, or HHR. It's kind of unique when we have meetings, especially like on the state level or the national level. What happens is the two groups will come together and they'll open the ceremony together, and then they'll break apart. The men go to their meeting, the women go to their meeting, and then we come back together and we close together. So we open together, meet separately, come back together, and close together.
Okay, and
so that's primarily at like at your state levels and at the national level that we do that. As far as your home lodge, like our lodge, our lodge is all, of course, we're all men, so we don't have a Household of Ruth branch at our lodge, so we just meet on our own. Also, with the Independent Order of Oddfellows, they have 3 degrees. The Grand United Order of Oddfellows, they have 7 degrees. So there's a couple of differences there. The ritual is a little bit different, not a whole lot, but there are some differences as far as the actual ritual and stuff that you have to go through.
Okay, and tell us about the qualifications to join. Now, you would have wouldn't have had to go through the degree system, like all of like initiation again. But for someone joining off the street, what would you say is?
You have to be a male, at least 18 years of age. What you would do is you would be brought in by another member. They would come in as the guy, another member would say, yeah, I have this guy who's interested. He's a great guy. I can kind of vouch for him. So he would come in, fill out an application. We would meet the person. And then we would actually, during an actual meeting, we would discuss bring up the application, read the application, discuss the person, and then we do an actual vote. If the person is voted on favorably, then they would be initiated. You go through an actual initiation process.
Does it have to be a unanimous vote or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Have you ever saw anybody be rejected?
No, I have not.
Oh, say, okay. Yeah. And you say there's 7 degrees. So
yes.
How long would it take a person to go through all 7 degrees?
After you become a member, you can go through, I believe it's the first 4 degrees. The first 3 degrees. You can after you join, you can go through the first 3 degrees. The 4th degree you can get when you serve as I believe it's the warden. The 5th degree you get when you serve as the vice grand. The 6th degree you can get when you serve as the noble grand, or in the Grand United Order, it's called the noble father. And the 7th degree is when you become a past noble father.
Now, can the Independent Order and the Grand United Order, can they visit each other's lodges, or does that?
I haven't really heard of that. But if somebody from the Independent Order wanted to come visit us, I don't think it would be an issue. I don't know if I'd have to get further clarification as far as if they were allowed to join a meeting as far as when it opens, or if they would have to be brought in as a guest member or something like that. Not 100% sure about that. It's not really something that we've heard a whole lot about.
How many lodges are there nationally, Grand United?
Not real sure. I know we have a lot of lodges up in the Northeast, up around Philadelphia. In fact, we have a meeting that we go to every year in Philadelphia. There are down south here, we have 2 lodges here in Florida. There's our lodge. There's one over in Sarasota. There's one in Mississippi. I think there's one up in Georgia, Louisiana. There are 1 or 2 in Texas. And right now we are currently working on getting a lodge started up in Jacksonville. I think there's 1 or 2 in South Carolina, Maryland. Actual count, I'm not sure, but I know we do have quite a few lodges throughout the eastern United States.
Very few. The lodge is growing, or is it?
Yeah, yes, we are.
Wow.
Very few as far as out west. I don't believe there are any out west. I think as far to west as we go is there's a couple of new lodges in eastern Texas. So we're slowly expanding. We're getting there.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. Well, now your home lodge is the Harry Marsh Lodge, number 12265.
Yep.
Tell us about that lodge. A little bit. But.
It was started by a couple of guys that our founding member, Paul Mitchell. His grandfather was an Oddfellow up in Framingham, Massachusetts. Longtime Oddfellow. So, he's a generational kind of guy. Him and his good buddy, high school buddy, Brandon Smith, they got together with a couple of the guys and they started our lodge because they were into Odd Fellowship. It has some family history. So they got together and they first started meeting, I believe they started meeting at a Masonic hall or something similar to that. And then they eventually got enough funds to rent a lodge hall, which is where we're at now. It's actually in a strip mall, but It's slowly grown over the years. We've made improvements to it. Like we have a pool table, we have a flat screen TV. We recently got some furniture from a old Oddfellows Hall up in Massachusetts. There's some original benches. A dance studio came in and bought the building, and some of the furniture was there. So they put it on Facebook, and I've seen it. I'm like, hey, this would be kind of great for our lodge. And one of our members actually went up there, got the furniture, and refurbished it. And so we're putting it to use today. And I sent some of the pictures up to the dance hall people, and they were extremely happy that we were able to preserve the history, and it went to yet another Oddfellow Lodge to create some more history.
That's wonderful. And when do you hold your meetings?
We meet on the first and third Tuesday of every month.
Wow.
Yep. And then our Amos Lodge meet on the second and fourth. And then if there's ever a month with a fifth Tuesday, we have what we call a theme night. What we do is we try to come up with a different theme. Like we had a country and western night where everybody dressed up like cowboys. Yeah. We had a Hawaiian night where everybody dressed up in Hawaiian shirts. So we had a quiz night, which was really had a lot of good turnout. We did a lot of trivia and stuff. On our fifth Tuesdays, it's open to non-members, but you have to be brought in by a member. Yeah. So we like to open it up to prospective members. That way, it gives us a chance to meet some new candidates. They can see what our lodge hall is all about. They can see the history, because we have a lot of history and stuff on our
Almost
wall.
like an open house.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So, yeah, we've gotten a lot of members over the years doing that.
Okay. Yeah. And how long are the meetings, though, when you have them?
Our meetings last anywhere from, I would say on average, about 40 minutes, but sometimes they go longer depending upon, how much business we have to talk about, especially like towards the latter half of the year, like when we started getting into November and December, we have a Christmas party to plan. We have a parade that we plan for. We have a nursing home visit that we plan for, the food drive. So a lot of times those meetings will run a little bit longer. If any other business comes up, like if there's something we want to sponsor or somebody has something to talk about that we want to do, sometimes those meetings will run maybe an hour long.
What is the makeup of your lodge? Young, old, middle-aged?
I would say the average age of our lodge is probably mid-50s. Like myself, I'm 53. Most of our members are probably around my age. We do have some older retired members. We have some younger members. One of our founding members, Paul Mitchell, his son just joined the lodge, and he's in his early 20s. My younger brother just joined a couple of months ago. He's in his early 40s. So, we have quite a range as far as age, but I would say most of our members are probably in their mid to late 50s.
Okay.
So, we try to be very active. So, we try to do a lot of events and stuff like that throughout the year. So,
good. And what do you feel belonging to the Grand United Order of Oddfellows has done for you?
It's allowed me to meet more people. We have there's a meeting up in Philadelphia every year where a lot of the members go, and I'm able to meet a lot of the members from throughout the East Coast. And everybody that I've met are so wonderful. So very, very nice, loving, caring people that would just, the kind of people that would just give you the shirt off their back. And it's really been a great experience to meet so many people and, reach out and try and help them if they need anything. And just the networking and, it's really helped me personally to grow as a person. It makes me a better person,
And for those who are thinking of joining or looking for if they're shopping around, let's just say, to look at which fraternity to join, what would you say to them?
I would say, hey, come check us out. We're there's a ton of history, but there's a lot of things that you can learn from us. You can grow personally. There's a lot of things that we want to do. There's a lot of things you can do. we try to be very active. We're not just come here, sit through a boring, dull meeting and then go home. We have a social hour before our meeting. We have our meeting. We talk about a lot of different stuff. Afterwards, we have dinner. Again, we have a dartboard and a pool table. We have a flat screen TV. So there's a lot of excitement and stuff like that. It's not just sit through a boring meeting and waste a couple hours of your time. And we try to be very active, and we have a lot of different active events throughout the year, like the different parades, and we do have family events. So it's not just men's night every Tuesday. We do have family events and stuff like that that you can bring the family to. The parade you can bring the kids to. They can run on the float and be a part of it. So it's a men's lodge, but there are a lot of family activities as well. So it's ideal.
It also sounds like there's a lot of brotherhood to it, which I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Brandon, can you come give me a hand with this?" And he would be here in 20 minutes.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, Mr. James, I really appreciate your time tonight. I appreciate.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be a part of your show. I think it's really wonderful. I've watched a lot of your other podcasts. They're really great. It's a lot of interesting information that you get out there.
Yeah, and I mean, all the best to you and your lodge, sir. I look forward to having you back again.
All right, thank you. I really do appreciate it. You have a good night,
sir. Okay. Jamie James, brothers and sisters. Did you learn anything there? I know I did. I found it interesting that the difference in the degree system between those two different branches of Odd Fellowship. You have the Independent Order of Odd Fellows has 3 degrees, while the Grand United Order of Odd Fellows has 7. It's interesting. It would be interesting to actually see what the ritual part of it would look like between the two. And I loved Mr. James' passion. I really did. He really loves being part of that order. And if you ask me, that's really what being part of any fraternal group is about, is that brotherhood, that sisterhood, that kindred spirit that you have with those other your fellow members of your lodge or the fraternity that you're in. And it's that part of it, I think, that really makes it special. Just the way he talked about it was amazing. And and it's great to hear as well that Odd Fellowship is alive and well, and it's growing, right? And that's what Points of Light Radio is really here to do, is preserve the history, as I've often said, and raise the awareness of fraternalism. It really is, because I would think it would be a shame for these fraternities to die out like many have in the past, right? And I can tell you right now, based on my research even before this, I can tell you right now that Odd Fellowship is growing in Africa and the Philippines. And if you are a member of the Odd Fellows there, you reach out to me, right? You nudge your grandmaster in my direction, and I will definitely feature your lodge on this podcast, right? But that's all I have time for today, brothers and sisters. Before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel and my Points of Light Radio store, where you can go there and buy not just Points of Light Radio merchandise, but as well as other fraternal merchandise on there. And I want to point out that Points of Light Radio is also available to advertise your fraternal store or event. I'm sorry to part, but until we meet again, brothers and sisters, remember, just step into the light.